It's 12:17 a.m. A Soviet bunker, 60 miles outside Moscow. The screens go red. One missile. Inbound. American, nuclear. The man staring at the screen has exactly one job: report it up the chain. Within minutes, Soviet leadership launches a retaliatory strike. Hundreds of millions of people die before sunrise. He picks up the phone. He puts it back down. He doesn't report it. His name is Stanislav Petrov. He's a lieutenant colonel in the Soviet Air Defense Forces. He has no authority to make this decision, no protocol that allows it, no backup, no second opinion. And in 1983, at the height of the most dangerous period in Cold War history, he just decided the computer was wrong. Then the screen shows a second missile, then a third, then 4, then 5. To understand why this moment nearly ended civilization, you need to understand what 1983 actually felt like. This wasn't Cold War tension in the abstract. This was the most dangerous single year since the Cuban Missile Crisis. 3 weeks before Petrov sat down at that console, a Soviet fighter jet had shot down Korean Airlines Flight 007, a civilian aircraft, killing all 269 people on board, including a U.S. congressman. Ronald Reagan called the Soviet Union an evil empire on live television. NATO was running military exercises along Soviet borders that Moscow was convinced were cover for a real first strike. The Soviets weren't being paranoid, they were being rational, given everything they knew. Inside the Kremlin, the standing order was simple. If American missiles are detected, you launch immediately. You don't wait to confirm, because waiting means you're already dead. Petrov knew all of this. Here's what made his decision almost impossible. The system flagging the missiles wasn't some outdated radar. It was OCO, the Soviet Union's brand new $1 billion satellite early warning system, launched just 2 years earlier, the pride of Soviet military technology, designed with one purpose: detect American ICBMs the moment they leave the ground. And it was screaming. 5 confirmed launches, American silos, trajectory calculated, impact in 20 minutes. Every protocol Petrov had ever been trained on said the same thing: report it. But Petrov noticed something. 5 missiles. Why 5? If America was launching a first strike, the one Soviet military strategists had wargamed thousands of times, they wouldn't send 5 missiles. They would send 5,000. A real first strike is total, overwhelming, designed to obliterate Soviet retaliatory capability before a single warhead can launch. 5 missiles didn't make strategic sense. And then there was the ground radar. Soviet doctrine required 2 independent confirmation systems before a launch order could be considered verified. OCO was screaming, but the ground-based radar, which tracked missiles in mid-flight, was showing nothing. Complete silence. Petrov had a malfunctioning system showing 5 missiles and a functioning system showing 0. He had 20 minutes to decide which one to believe. His hand stayed off the phone. He told his crew it was a false alarm. He had no way of knowing if that was true. For the next 23 minutes, Stanislav Petrov sat at that console and waited to find out if he'd just made the single greatest mistake in human history. If he was wrong, if those missiles were real, he had just ensured that the Soviet Union absorbed a nuclear first strike without retaliating. Hundreds of Soviet cities gone, because he trusted his gut over $1 billion satellite system. His crew was watching him, frozen. Nobody spoke. The minutes passed. No impact, no explosion. Silence. The system had malfunctioned. A rare alignment of sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds had fooled the OCO satellites into reading a launch signature. A $1 billion system defeated by light. Petrov had been right. The world had no idea it had just survived. Here's what happened next. Petrov expected to be celebrated, or at least acknowledged. He had, by any measure, just prevented nuclear war through calm, rational thinking under the most extreme pressure a human being can face. Instead, he was reprimanded, not for the decision, but for the paperwork. During the incident, Petrov had failed to properly log the event in his duty journal. In the chaos of the moment, he'd been focused on one thing, figuring out if the world was ending. The journal went unfilled. Soviet military bureaucracy didn't care about the context. He received a formal reprimand. He was reassigned. His career effectively ended. He never received an official commendation from the Soviet Union. For nearly a decade, the incident was classified, buried. The world didn't learn about Stanislav Petrov until 1998, when a Soviet general mentioned it in a memoir, almost as a footnote. He spent the last years of his life in a small apartment outside Moscow, on a modest pension, largely forgotten by the country he had saved. He died in 2017. His neighbors didn't know about it for months. We name ships after admirals. We build statues for generals. We put politicians on currency. Stanislav Petrov sat alone in a bunker, with 5 missiles on his screen and 20 minutes on the clock, and he chose to think instead of react. There are 8 billion people alive today. Every single one of them owes him that decision. He got a reprimand and a small apartment. That's the world he saved.